It is time for the Inside Edge Hockey News Radio Show, your home for National Hockey League news, information, and opinions. It is an exciting and often controversial approach to the great game of hockey. Get ready for breakdowns of current hockey topics. It's a no-holds-barred approach to happenings throughout the hockey world. And now, your host from Inside Edge Hockey News, Brad Burud.
Stops it back of the net. Wanted to play it to Russian. Oh, knocked it down. Scores! Williams! Lays this into the zone, and Sebastian Aho comes in. Lehner's got two options. He either tries to go forehand around the boards, or he goes back behind him. He chooses to go through Aho. It doesn't work out.
It's time for the Inside Edge Hockey News Radio Show, episode number 19. Recorded on May 8th, 2019. I am the host of the show, Brad Burud from Inside Edge Hockey News. Very special guest on the show today, Noah Grant, joins me. And we're going to talk about RFAs. We're going to talk about who is RFAs. Talk about actually one of the best classes of RFAs that we've seen in probably ever. Talk about what players will sign, for how much, will they stay with the team they're at, will there be any offer sheets? Then we'll dive into the UFAs, and also a great class of UFAs this year. And there's going to be some guys that get their money. We'll talk about and speculate where they're going to end up and how much money they're going to be. And then we'll go into a Facebook poll at the end of the show, which involves RFAs and UFAs, some great questions, some interesting responses from our listeners. Always fun to do those Facebook polls. A big thanks goes out to our sponsor, Hockey Community. Great networking website for hockey players. Find your place to play hockey, find a pickup game, find a tournament, do all that at hockeycommunity.com. We thank them for their sponsorship.
Hockey Community, a social media website dedicated just for hockey. It's a one-stop shop in searching for games, players, stick and puck, tournaments, and yes, goalies.
It's time to talk restricted free agents, and it's going to be a wild summer. Joining the show to talk about RFAs and UFAs today is Noah Grant. Welcome, Noah.
Always a pleasure.
This summer is going to be interesting in the National Hockey League. Really, really interesting. I can't remember a year where we've had such a group of superstars that fit into the RFA category. Names, Braden Point, Patrick Laine, Brock Boeser. I mean, just the names go on and on of guys who are going to get paid big money. The salary cap has gone up. But there's going to be some teams struggling to determine how they're going to fit this in. And not only how they're going to fit it in, is the offer sheets going to come into play this year? Offer sheets have kind of been a thing where we've seen them, but we can probably count on one hand how many we've seen. Do you think that's going to change this year?
You know, I think there's a real big opportunity, and I think the reason that when you look at this RFA group, why it's so unprecedented is because, you know, if you go back 10, 15 years in the National Hockey League, guys that were 18, 19, 20 years old were few and far between.
And they weren't as big of factors on their team.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've got all these young stars who are doing the Connor McDavid power skating stuff and the skills that we haven't seen before. So now you've got all these guys that they're pushing for big contracts at the same time, and teams are like, oh boy, where do we keep players and where do we cut our losses?
That's a real good point, and it's probably a trend we're going to see more of. I don't know that we'll have classes quite as strong as we have this year, but you're right. It's a younger league, so RFA, the quality of RFAs is a stronger field, and that's a great point. I think we're going to see that more and more every year. This year, there is some big names. I was going through the list and came up with my original list was going to have 15, but I had to go 16 because I just didn't know where to cut the list off.
Yeah.
And like we were talking pre-show, I think what my 15 are going to be are probably going to be different than yours, and we'll sprinkle in yours at the end that I missed, who you think are critical RFAs, because there's really a lot of them out there. And I didn't put these in any particular order, and what I'll do is I'll just name off a player, and we'll discuss it a little bit, kind of talk about where we think they're going to land, if they're going to get offer sheeted. Offer sheets are going to be interesting in the fact that the compensation is finally been set now on what it's going to be. If the player is below, these numbers go on and on, I'm just going to round them off. If they're below $1.4 million, there's no compensation. Between 1.4 and 2.1, it's a third-round pick. 2.1 to 4.2 is a second-rounder. 4.2 to 6.3 is a first and a third. 6.3 to 8.4 is a first, second, and third. 8.4 to 10.5 is 2 firsts, a second, and a third. If they're over 10.5,
the Edmonton Oilers get sold.
It's 4 firsts. I don't know. I mean, I know that going out and getting a Braden Point or even a Brock Boeser could bring big rewards for your team, but are you willing to sacrifice? I don't know. I think some of these guys that fit maybe into that 4.2 to 6.3 where you're going to give up a first and third, I could see that. I could even maybe see a first, second, and third.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see any 4 firsts.
I mean, there's one player that I have my eye on, and we'll get into that when we start talking players. But historically, from what I remember, the last player to be offer sheeted is Ryan O'Reilly, correct? And the last player to essentially be claimed from an offer sheet is actually Dustin Penner.
Yeah.
So that's what 2007, I think.
Wasn't Shea Weber offer sheeted too?
I can't quite remember.
I'm pretty sure Shea Weber was offer sheeted. Joe Sakic was offer sheeted.
Yeah.
But they're you're right though. I mean,
they're few and far between.
It's always been said that general managers try to look out for each other, which I respect that. But do they really? I mean, are we going to see more of it? I don't know. I know everybody this year says yes. I think we may see some in that mid-range. I highly doubt we see one that will result in 4 firsts.
No,
Would you give up 4 firsts for Connor McDavid?
You know, for Connor McDavid, you know who I'd give up 4 firsts for, and he's not an RFA, but Nathan MacKinnon. I think Nathan MacKinnon is the most dynamic hockey player in the National Hockey League. I will be on the record to say that.
I agree. And the reason I feel that way is because he has the attributes of Sidney Crosby with the power.
Yep.
And he's got the speed of Connor McDavid in one person.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you listened to the Spit and Chicklets podcast.
I do.
They had Ray Ferraro on the other day, and just listen to Ray Ferraro talk about, the guy comes up the ice, and with Connor McDavid, it's like a ballerina tap dancing down the ice. Well, when Nathan MacKinnon's coming down the ice because you can hear it. The freight trains are coming, and you better get off the tracks.
Yeah,
So
I would do probably for 4 firsts on him. You're right though; it's few and far between.
I mean, and also you have to be a team that has. I mean, Columbus Blue Jackets aren't making that move, obviously.
No, you got to have 4 firsts.
Exactly. So, it's got to be a team that's in desperate need of a player of that caliber and no other way to attain a player of that caliber or thinking that they're not going to get one within the next 5 years.
Yeah. It can't be a team that's rebuilding as much as it's probably a team that's trying to reload on the fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Maybe like a Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh or... maybe even like a Florida, a team that was expected to be a lot better this year than they were and had a couple of key injuries,
Let's roll with the first guy. Let's talk Braden Point. And he's probably, I don't know, one of the most talked about RFAs and the center from Tampa Bay. And where do you see him? Do you see him staying there? And if so, where do you see a price tag on him at?
I think I see him staying, but I don't think he did himself any favors in the playoffs this year.
No, he did not.
But I don't think that whole team really did
themselves a favor.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be willing to give a guy like Braden Point $8 million.
That's kind of where I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, how long? See, I'm a bad term guy.
5 years.
You do, huh?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because he's so young.
I think if you're going to give him 8, you're almost going to have to give him 5 years. Like, he's going to be like, well, I want term then if I'm only going to get 8.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's nice about Braden Point is you maybe pay a little more for centermen, because you can always move centermen to the wing if they're dynamic enough, but it's hard to make that move in the other direction. So having a guy who's 23 years old and put up 92 points as a centerman in the National Hockey League, it obviously few and far between.
Yeah, points are hard to come by, but you look at Tampa Bay's salary cap, and they're going to be in some trouble.
Yeah,
they only have $1.4 million in cap space available. Now the cap's not figured in next year's cap, so that will change, and they will have some players leaving, especially on the back end, which will free up.
Yeah, I saw Dan Girardi is 5.5 or something.
3.
Like that.
He's 3.
Yeah.
Colburn's 3.7, and Strawman's 4.5. They're all UFAs. But you're going to have to replace those guys with guys too. So it'll be interesting. I agree with you. I think he lands in Tampa Bay also, and I got a feeling he's going to be in that 8 to 9 range.
Yeah.
How about Kyle Connor in Winnipeg? I think this one's going to be an interesting one.
Now it's thrown ahead. Waiting is Hayes. Connor in off the left. Kyle Connor to the backhand. Scores!
Granlund does a nice job of trying to keep possession, but a puck bounces through the neutral zone and literally goes through 3 Nashville Predator players. I don't know how this thing got through, but it lands on Scheifele's stick. It's a quick bunt to Connor with speed, and he literally undresses PK.
I think
Winnipeg always likes to go term at a lower level, which makes sense for the way they are in Winnipeg.
Well, Patrick Laine is going to get big money. There's no question.
Is he though?
I mean,
he is. Okay, we're going to talk about both these at the same time. You know what? We're gonna pair 3 of them up, because we got a lot of Winnipeg guys to talk about here in the RFAs.
I think they have to sort out their Jacob Trouba situation too.
And that's what I was just going to mention. Jacob Trouba, Kyle Connor, and Patrick Laine are all RFAs. I think Jacob Trouba will be gone.
Agree.
As much as I don't want to see that for Winnipeg, I think he'll be gone.
I think they can afford to too. You look at Sami Niku on the back end.
He was great.
Josh Morrissey's played well, when he's been healthy, obviously.
But Josh Morrissey's another trouble.
Yeah.
They got to get him signed.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Patrick Laine get maybe a 2 or 3 year prove it to me contract.
I was just going to say that, and that goes against everything Winnipeg has shown us in the past.
Yeah.
But I think he gets a 8 or 7.5 deal at 2 years.
Yeah, I could see it.
And that could be a win-win for both of them.
Yep. Because if he puts up 50 goals in the next 2 years, he's getting his money.
They have to pay him. And that's okay.
Yep.
But I think Kyle Connor is the critical one. And I don't know why my gut tells me that. I don't want to say he's going to take a hometown discount. But I got a feeling he's going to want to stay. And I think he's going to get a long-term deal, like a 7-year deal. Money on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think especially, when you come straight out of college and you're 22 years old, it's hard to want to leave a team that you've essentially ingrained yourself in, because being a young guy, even if you're a skilled young guy, you still got to prove yourself. So I think for him not going anywhere would be a priority.
Winnipeg, gets ripped on because
$4 million?
People don't want to. He's going to get more than that.
4 or 5? I don't know. I just I feel like
he's going to get more money than Nikolai Ehlers does. Nikolai Ehlers gets 6.
I feel like they want to figure out their Patrick Laine situation first. I really do, because in terms of pure goal scoring upside, it's hard to say, oh well, we're kind of hesitant on the Patrick Laine thing.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think they got to figure out a way to get rid of Matthew Perreault.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't think there's any hope that they re-sign Kevin Hayes. And I think Brandon Tanev goes bye-bye too. And that money frees up for Laine to get his 8 for 2 years, and Kyle Connor to get his 6.5 for 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah, I could see that. Stinks they gave up Brendan Lemieux to, was it the Rangers, I believe?
I liked him.
Yeah, depth centerman, always a plus.
Good thing in Winnipeg is that Samu Niku's got next year is still in his entry-level contract.
Gotta Jack Roslovic as well is really good. Andrew Kopp has always been a solid depth player for them too.
Morrissey is signed through next year at 3.1. Kulikov signed through next year. Dustin Byfuglien 7.6. I feel like that's probably their one contract I would be like, oof, that's a little steep.
Yeah. Then again, I wouldn't want to be the person that tells Dustin Byfuglien no behind closed doors, I suppose.
No.
Not a guy you'd want to mess with.
Definitely not. The next one that's going to be... a lot of people tell me this one's going to be a real battle, but I don't know that it is. I think we'll see this one solved quickly, and that's Matthew Tkachuk in Calgary.
Yeah.
I think Matthew Tkachuk gets 8.125 for 5 years,
Done
6
deal.
years. I think it's just done.
Done deal.
I don't know. I don't see why that wouldn't work for both.
Yeah, and all I hear in the background is Blake Fryer's voice telling me every time we watch a Flames game, could have been a Canuck. Every time, that's all I hear. And I mean, he's wishing he was.
He's going to end up being the Calgary Flames' highest paid player. Right now, that honor is Johnny Gaudreau and Mark Giordano, the captain, at 6.75. I know Calgary wants to keep him in that 7 mil mark. I just feel like I might slip above just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Not too bad, though. Mikko Rantanen in Colorado.
They're going to find a way to keep him.
You have to.
Yeah.
What price tag does that one come at?
I don't know. He's just...
And this is hard. This is hard to speculate price tags because, first off, we're not general managers. We can tell you who we want to keep and who we don't want to keep. But it's hard to be capologist to figure it out. The problem lies in Colorado on this. Do you pay him more than Nathan MacKinnon? And if you don't, he's gone. Nathan MacKinnon is at $6.3 million through 22-23. That is a humongous value. Colorado has cap space.
I could see...
Do you think he gets paid more?
I could see 7.5. I think if I'm Nathan MacKinnon and I see him get 7.5, that's not an insult to me. And I think...
No, it's a different time.
Yeah, I think if he sees, well, if this guy can put up 87 points and he's get 7.5, my paydays are coming.
That or my Stanley Cup is a coming.
Yeah,
one of the two. Because I don't know, if I'm Nathan MacKinnon, I signed my deal. I was good with it.
Yeah,
I should be good with it now, right? But I want to build this team around me so that maybe we can win a cup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he has to be over that amount to keep him.
Interesting to see how tonight plays out for him. I think tonight might be a little bit of a factor too in just seeing, do they want to keep this core? I mean, if this core goes to a Western Conference final,
yeah,
or better, do they want to maybe take a little bit of a discount to keep that group together?
Well, they're also going to, be getting a high draft pick this year from Ottawa.
Yeah.
So...
Not as high as they would have liked, thank Ottawa's lucky stars, but...
Yeah. How about Sebastian Aho in Carolina?
He's staying.
For sure.
He's staying, yep. He's staying, and he's going to get some pretty decent money.
Do you think so?
Yep. I mean, him and, now they have, unfortunately, Nino Niederreiter there.
What do you think he gets? 6?
Yeah, I don't think he gets anything that's going to be... I don't think he gets overpaid.
I don't think he gets overpaid either, but I do think he stays there. They'd be absolute fools to not.
Yeah, point per player game.
Here's a guy that I added to my list. And every year when I watch the playoffs, I tend to have a player that maybe I was ignorant and ignored, or they just never stood out to me at the level that they are now. But Timo Meier's the guy this year that I've been watching him in the playoffs, and I've been like, holy cow, would I give anything to have him on my team? The guy's out of control good.
Yeah, I agree.
But here's the deal. How in the world is San Jose? I mean, I think they'll get it figured out now. I mean, even if it's a bridge deal, but like, how's San Jose going to keep this guy long term?
Well, they've got a slew of contracts they've got to figure out in the next couple of years.
Pavelski, they got to figure out Thornton, what is he? Is he done?
Yeah, Carlson.
We're going to talk about that one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that one in the next section because I have my opinions on that one. That's probably the one I have the biggest opinion on.
Yeah. I tell you what, since we're getting down on the list, at least that I'm looking at, the guy for me that I feel has the most potential to get an offer sheet this year is Kasperi Kapanen.
I think everybody would agree. Because he's going to fit into that price range where you're not giving up the farm. And Toronto is, let's talk Toronto.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner and Kapanen hit RFA status.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner is
he's going to get bank and then some.
What if he walks in and says, I want 12.5. I want 12.5. What is Kyle Dubas going to do? I don't even know what Kyle Dubas is going to do if he says he wants 9.5.
I think he might have to ask him for $500 out of that to give Kapanen's plane ticket away to someplace else because,
Kapanen's gone. Do you think he gets offer sheet or does someone did they just trade him?
I don't know. I think just knowing what Toronto does, I think they're going to make every effort to try to keep a guy for as low cost as they can. But, yeah. I could see maybe like a draft day.
Yeah.
Something up in there. Even Andreas Janssen, is a guy that, if you find a way to give both Marner and Kapanen money, I mean, he could go somewhere too. It's
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, they're in a pickle, that's for sure.
How about Brock Boeser in Vancouver?
He's going to stay.
What are they going to have to give him?
I've
had a lot of discussion on this one. I am a huge Brock Boeser fan. I think he is a critical part to the future of the Canucks. I know everybody thinks Bo Horvat is going to be the captain and should be the captain. I think Brock Boeser is one of the team leaders on this young team.
Yeah.
And a young team that I think is headed in the right direction. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I mean...
What do you think, 7-2-5?
Yeah, I would have said 7, maybe even 6-8, something like that. Just the only thing that doesn't help him, I mean, everyone knows he's a world-class player. He's going to be for a long time, but, coming off a back injury and having a down year, just kind of making sure that you're getting a guy that's going to be feeling it for the next 5 or 6 years,
Yeah, no, I don't... That was a scary injury, and...
Yeah.
Yeah,
wouldn't mind seeing hockey rinks with only one door in the middle.
No, just I fix this problem. Like, you can put the doors in, but just make it illegal to open. Make it
during play.
You can't open doors during play. They can only be opened during stoppages. It's a simple problem to fix. I mean, name one other sport where they do stupid stuff like that. It's silly to me. It's silly. Vegas. Carlson is an RFA.
Yeah, I don't think they have a whole lot of...
I don't think this should be a problem.
Concern, just because, I mean, he had a quote-unquote down year, but it's the same conversation they're having in Minnesota with Eric Stahl. How do you follow up 40 goals? You know what I mean? It's just, people have to realize in today's NHL, there's only a select few that can repeatedly...
Do you think William Karlsson gets a bridge deal, or is it going to be long-term? To me... I think both would.
I can see long-term at...
I think Carlson wants long-term.
I could see long-term at maybe the same or a little less cap hit, understanding, just say, hey, this is...
The same as he's at now?
Yeah.
He's going to get a raise.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
56 points in 82 games? I mean, I don't know.
He's at 5.25 now. I think he gets a raise.
I don't think he gets much if he does.
Paul Stastny's getting 6.5 on that team. I don't know. That one's going to be an interesting one. Getting down to the end here, Cody Ceci in Ottawa. What do you think happens there? First of all, does Cody Ceci want to stay in Ottawa?
I don't even know if Ottawa wants to stay in Ottawa at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's always something to be said.
They'll figure that one out.
Yeah, I mean, even you look at Matt Duchene before he got traded. Matt Duchene loved being the guy in Ottawa. So some guys relish the fact that if you're going to Ottawa and you're kind of a standout dude there, I mean, you're going to be playing. You're going to be making money playing hockey.
My final two are on totally different ends of the spectrum. The first one is Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, I know he struggled, but I still believe this guy can be a good player. Does Edmonton move him? Sign him to a bridge deal, which probably would be the smartest thing to do? Or do they lay their chips down and sign this guy long term?
I could see a bridge deal, but I could also see Ken Holland saying, you know what? I wasn't part of the old regime here. I'm going to see what I can get for this guy, and if I can't, then maybe push a bridge deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if he shops him around a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. How about Jordan Binnington in St. Louis? Like, this guy has been rock solid in the playoffs. I was so impressed last night when they won, and he didn't even celebrate. Like, he just was freaking...
He wanted to get through the handshake line, and
he's just intense, like ready to get to the next round.
Yeah, he's something else. You know, I honestly wonder what the Blues are going to do with Jake Allen.
He signed long term.
You know, but I
like, what do you do there? Because obviously Binnington's your guy now.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows that. Jake Allen is signed at 4.35 for 2 more years.
We've also seen this with, actually, Jake Allen's a prime example, too. You know, you kind of want to make sure that when you're signing, goaltenders are kind of a crapshoot.
I know. Is Binnington a flash in the pan? Is he a Andrew Hammond?
You know,
I don't think so.
You know, here's the thing. I will say this, and part of the reason, like, did you watch the Dallas St. Louis game last night? Mm-hmm. Part of the reason that I think we saw this is because he had literally no shots in the last 2 periods of regulation. But some of the saves when he was sealing up against the post and that sort of thing, I mean, he was kind of floundering around a little bit. I mean, he was a little bit out of position, and you got to wonder, you know, is this guy going to be your dude with some refinement because he's young? Is he going to be your guy, or...
So what do you do here? Do you say, hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to sign you at 4.5
for 3 years,
for 5 years,
5?
Because he's going to, I think he's going to say he wants 6 for 3, 4.5 for 5.
Oh, every time I see goalies just long term.
Oh, well, name me one that works out.
Oh, he makes me cringe.
Carey Price isn't working out.
Yeah, Devin Dubnyk isn't working out.
No, name me one long term that works. It doesn't. It doesn't work.
Marc-Andre Fleury, maybe.
Yeah, he'd probably be the best example.
Rick DiPietro.
Oh my gosh! I will never forget the day that went down.
You know, it's just goaltenders. Oh,
it's risky.
I have a tough time pulling the trigger on that. You know, and I think especially if you're the Blues, you don't want Jake Allen 2.0.
Nope.
Quite honestly, you know, because if you give a guy that much money and he doesn't pan out, you're paying $8.5 to $9 million to goaltenders that aren't helping you worth a darn.
Oh man.
You know, like,
who did you have on your list that I left off?
I was going to say Timo Meier. I like Buchnevich a little bit, honestly. Just kind of seeing him. I mean, he had a quote-unquote down year, but he was also playing in New York. So, I don't know. I kind of like him, but more trade bait as opposed to...
Well, the fact is most RFAs get signed. The higher percentage gets signed and it gets figured out. Next, we'll talk about UFAs, and that's where it gets a little bit more tricky because they hold the cards. RFAs, the team holds the cards.
I had one more too. Okay. Alexander Kerfoot as well.
Yep.
I think if Mikko Rantanen gets a lot of money, Kerfoot's maybe thinking.
They figure him out. He's not going to get that much.
Yeah.
You need to sign him, though.
I think
he's a great depth player. You got to have him.
I think Kerfoot's one of those guys that falls in the same range as Kasperi Kapanen, though. Maybe a team that's looking to say, gee, maybe we need a depth guy that can really...
So you think they offer sheet him?
I don't know. I'm just saying,
that would be a ballsy one.
I'm just saying that we've seen crazier things happen.
Oh, yeah.
AKA the Columbus Blue Jackets. What did it cost you? Everything. I'm just saying, I mean, if you're a team who's looking for a guy that, as a third-line center, put up 42 points at 25 years old, and he's a guy that you could probably move him to the wing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's going to cost you that much to what you're giving up. If you're a team that's in desperate, I mean, maybe a Winnipeg,
Winnipeg is no
like a Winnipeg, like in terms of, like if you're looking for centers, so a team that is like that, they don't have the cap space for it, but
yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Just a team that's trying to fill
those voids.
Their top 9, I guess. I don't know. He intrigues me more than he maybe should. I don't know.
Yeah, RFAs will be interesting this summer. We'll see what happens. I would bet a vast majority stay put, but I think there are going to be some bigger numbers than what they have in years past.
InsideEdgeHockeyNews.com, your inside source for interviews with players and members of the hockey world. InsideEdgeHockeyNews.com.
Moving on to the next section, we're going to talk a little bit about unrestricted free agents for the upcoming summer here. And on July 1st, we're going to have some big-name players hit the market. And I think we're going to see some numbers that are probably going to be considered ridiculous. UFA signings are a slippery slope in my mind. You look back into previous years. One year stands out to me as the year of the UFA disasters. 2016. Listen to these signings. Lucic gets 7 years at $6 million. Poso gets 7 years at $6 million. Eriksson gets 6 years at $6 million. Backus gets 5 years at $6 million. Ladd gets 7 years at 5.5. Nielsen gets 6 years at 5.25. And Troy Brouwer gets 4 years at 4.25. Nielsen's with 35 points is the most of any of them. Now that's bad UFA signing. Is this year going to be the same, or do we have much bigger talent this year?
I think it helps that you have a more diverse pool.
You definitely do.
But I think, the biggest key is understanding what you want to fit the mold of your team and what price does that come at. Because I think the worst thing you can do is have a team, that's on the bubble or has a chance to take that next step, and you screw yourself over by taking a bad contract that you've overpaid for in the summer just because you wanted the big fish before everyone else did.
I jotted down 12 of them that I thought were the biggest. A few of these we will not talk long on because I don't think they're huge. But let's start off with one of the more interesting ones, and that's Robin Lehner, goalie for the New York Islanders. Where does he go, and what does he get?
Honestly,
and have we seen enough to go long term?
I could see a longer. You've proven it to me, but can you take that next step? Contract.
But it goes back to what we just talked about with goalies. It's like, how much guts do you have? And who would want Robin Lehner? Now, I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying what teams need that?
Let's think here.
Calgary, can they afford him, though? Probably not.
Not really, especially if you're trying to pay Kachuk.
I would say that Robin Lehner is going to fall into that 5.5 for 4 years deal.
Yeah, I could see that. You know what team?
I honestly think he'll stay with the Islanders.
Yeah, I could see him staying. You know what team could probably really use him? I don't know what their cap space looks like, but I think he'd be a good fit in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He'd be the first goalie in Philadelphia
but Carter
to look.
Hart is.
Yeah.
They've already thrown their chips in on him.
Yeah.
I would think that would be a surprising move in the fact that I could see them getting an older veteran to be a 1-2 tandem with Carter Hart. Well, they kind of did that with Talbot. They have Talbot.
Could you see?
You can't. They're not going to be able to get rid of that.
If they can make some moves, maybe Carolina.
I think if you're Carolina, you just love having Mrazek and McElhinney.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But I don't think you can take that 1-2 punch and say, yep, this team is going to take us to the promised land for...
They're halfway there now.
For 3.5 more years is what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying,
like,
but goalies is such a tough one because I can argue whatever you say on a goalie, and
yeah,
goalies is tough. Like, how many goalies are good past 4 years? Like, seriously, how many of them?
Yeah.
Henrik Lundqvist doesn't look real good right now with it. Oh. Carey Price people are already saying, well, what about we're paying Carey Price this much money? Well, Carey Price is a hell of a goalie, but I don't know.
Yeah. Ben Bishop arrived on scene yesterday, but he's been kind of in and out with injury for the past couple of years. And
let's roll through a couple other ones quickly here. Anton Stralman, he could go about anywhere.
Yeah. He doesn't.
How about Anders Lee on the island? Does he stay in New York? I think he goes. I think he goes somewhere.
Hard with the fact that he's wearing the C. I think that, they talked about that, and the Islanders brass has made it explicitly known that they intend to sign their 4 big guns.
I hope they do.
Yeah. But I could see either Anders Lee or Brock Nelson. One of those two.
Either one of them land in Minnesota.
Yeah, they've been talking about that.
If I was them, I wouldn't.
Here's the thing. The thing that scares me the most about that, they're both centermen.
Yep.
For once, Minnesota has a little bit of depth at center, at least. I mean, theoretically, if Mikko Koivu is healthy and it gets all the dust and cobwebs off of him, Victor Rask doesn't have a spot in that lineup. So, I think what Minnesota needs, to go off on a tangent here, is, they need a goal scorer, obviously. But they need
more than one.
They need someone who's right-handed, first of all. They have 3 righties in, it's either their forward core or their entire roster lineup. Pretty hard to put together a successful power play when you have 3 righties on your roster and 2 of them are in your bottom 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard that. The one that Minnesota apparently is in on that I think they should take the most consideration is Jeff Skinner.
He's on my list as one of the big fish.
Yep.
He's in my top 5 big fish. And let's jump ahead and talk a little bit about Jeff Skinner. My gut tells me he stays in Buffalo. I think it's going to be a last-minute deal.
Depends on how he feels.
He's been really quiet, though. He's never said he hates it.
Yeah.
He's never said he loves it.
And that's where I'm at, because we know from the Ryan O'Reilly situation and from what a couple people have said, being in Buffalo, especially when you're a team that has really struggled for the majority of the past decade.
Why do I feel like Skinner's going to go somewhere and someone's going to give him a absolutely absurd contract?
Yeah, I could see that too.
I just don't know who that would be. I'm not sure on who that's going to be with him. I don't know. My gut tells me, I don't know. It's a tough one. How about Kevin Hayes?
Kevin Hayes would slot into a lot of lineups.
I know he would.
Yeah.
But do you feel like he's going to warrant a salary that a lot of GMs are going to be like, no? And some crazy one's going to give it to him?
I don't know. I could see him staying pat with what he...
Can Winnipeg afford him staying pat?
No, just at his price tag. Doesn't matter who signs him, but...
Oh.
Yeah, I could just see him... I don't think he's
Could he end up on the island?
Yeah, I could see that, but then you got 3 centermen in your...
Yeah.
But like we talked about, you can always move centers to the wing. But, for Kevin Hayes, I could see him going to maybe some oddball place like Arizona.
Yeah.
Maybe slotting in Derek Stepan he played with.
That would be, that would make sense. Here's one that I know is going to be on the move, and that's Jake Gardiner.
Yeah.
I have no speculation on where he's going to go, though.
Hopefully no team that's in a Game 7, that's for sure. Yeah, it all depends on, a team that's looking for maybe a middle pairing defenseman, like a fourth defenseman. A team that's just looking for a little bit more balance throughout your lineup. Maybe you have maybe like the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
But I know they're, quote unquote, in on Pavelski and Artemi Panarin. So, but isn't everyone?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I'm also interested to see where Joe Pavelski...
That's the next one on my list.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how financially he stays in San Jose. But then, on the other hand of that, I don't know how they don't sign him. I think they're going to figure out a way with him. I don't know how you let him go.
Yeah.
He's kind of the heart and soul of that team.
I think it depends on what Joe Pavelski wants. If Joe Pavelski feels he's worth north of $4 million still, and is worth that salary, then I think it kind of dictates where he's going to end up, just based on what the Sharks want to do. Obviously, if they decide to let Eric Carlson go, it might be a different story. But
now, let's talk the Big Four. And the Big Four, I am... On those other ones, I don't know. I'm not really full of opinions on those, except for maybe Rob and Lehner. But I think I've got it figured out where each of the top four are going to go. Okay. Let's talk Sergei Bobrovsky first. I think Sergei Bobrovsky wants Carey Price money. I don't think he's going to get Carey Price money. But I think he is going to get in that $8 or $9 million range.
8.5 is what I had him at.
Now, I wholeheartedly believe he ends up in Florida.
Yep. I think so too. Because Luongo's kind of
done.
Swan song. Yeah. And they need goaltending.
And then they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
They might be the only team willing to just write that check.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, let's talk about his teammate now, and that's Artemi Panarin. This one is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
There's talk that maybe he stays in Columbus. I don't think that happens.
He's got a better chance of staying in Columbus than Bobrovsky, though, in my opinion.
Yes.
So,
but why do I feel like he's going to land with the Rangers? And they're going to pay a stupid $9+ million price tag.
Yeah, I could see that. A team that's looking to really solidify their top six.
He has made it clear he wants to go to either big city or a warm city.
Yep.
I know there's talk of him, rumors saying Vancouver. I don't think that's happening.
No.
I think he lands in New York at 9+.
Yeah, I don't know. Something also tells me that Columbus grew on him a little bit in the playoffs.
Yes.
I don't know enough to sway him.
That would be speaking on emotion now.
Yeah.
But now, after the locker cleanup, and 2 weeks later, when you're sitting on your boat,
yeah,
does that emotion go away?
Yeah.
Because Matt Duchene's in that same situation. He's another one of the Big Four.
Yeah.
I think there's a more likelihood that he stays than any of the other ones.
Yeah, I could see Matt Duchene staying. But I could also see, for whatever reason, in the past 3 years or so, people are willing to pay a hefty price tag for Matt Duchene. Yep. They still like what they see. I mean, he's 28.
And to me, I don't know. Maybe his numbers don't lie, but I have always been kind of critical of him. He's never been that guy that'll get you over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been. Which he'll prove me wrong now.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
he hasn't been.
I mean, he's kind of been that guy that he's not really... it's hard to call him a streaky scorer when you have 70 points in 73 games, but he is kind of one of those guys where every so often, for it seems like a stretch of 4 or 5 games, he'll just kind of disappear. And you're like, well, what is he worth? And then he'll come back and post a hat trick in the 6th game in that stretch. And
now the big fish out there is Eric Carlson.
15 seconds left on the power play. Couture in with Kane. Back to Logan. Takes a shot. Johnson is saved. Carlson, and he scores! Eric Carlson scores his first goal as a San Jose Shark.
Where do you see Eric Carlson landing, and at how much do you see him making?
Well, not in San Jose.
I don't see him in San Jose either.
No.
Do you see him in Vegas?
No.
Where do you
when you talk about Artemi Panarin, I could also see Eric Carlson ending up in the Big Apple too.
Yes.
I think that'd be an Eric Carlson lifestyle.
I do too.
Thing that, I wonder too.
All of a sudden, that takes a Rangers team that has a bunch of cap space and slams them into cap trouble. I mean, it does.
I mean, you also got a question with Eric Carlson, which has been trending for a while, is how does he feel? How healthy is he?
I don't think he's that healthy.
Yeah, well, they talk about he's 60-70% maybe. I mean, he's still playing lights-out hockey because he's a world-class defenseman, but, are you a team that's willing to probably...
He's 29, but to me he has a body of a 35-year-old. He's $6.5 million currently. He's 2-time Norris champion.
Are you willing to overpay?
60-plus point seasons.
Are you willing to overpay for the upside that if he does get healthy, he's going to be an offensive catalyst that, likens Brent Burns?
His defense scares me, though.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, yes, I know he's dinged up now, and he's been really non-committal and up in the air about this and kind of avoiding the question. I don't think he stays in San Jose.
No, I don't either.
Your New York Rangers thing is making sense.
Just saying.
Vegas makes sense too.
Yeah. But. I think if Eric Carlson, I think I could see them trying on Panarin, and if they don't see Panarin, Eric Carlson's their next jump.
Is there any chance they get both?
I don't think so.
Oh, that would be...
Yeah. Because...
It would be a lot of money, first of all.
Right. But I think if you're Artemi Panarin, who is looking to be in a city and then be the dude that's going to, get him over the hump. And then if you're Eric Carlson, you're almost 30 years old, your body isn't exactly the greatest. You're probably looking for a team that's going to take you to the same place too. I mean, everybody's looking to win, yes, but it's different when you say you want to win when you're 25 versus when you're 30.
Yeah.
So I think if you add those two on that hockey team, hoping that Georgiev takes the next jump, where's their depth at that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you look at these teams that are still able to compete, like your Tampa Bays, they have a history of having 6 or 7 solid forwards and 3 or 4 solid defensemen, and then all of their guys in their bottom end are these guys in entry-level contracts that come in and just light the world on fire because of how they're developing in Syracuse.
Depth wins championships, too. So
the guy that intrigues me, actually, for UFA is Matt Zuccarello.
I think he stays in Dallas.
Yeah. I like the way he played in the playoffs. I really do.
I think he stays in Dallas.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a good fit there.
Yeah. Interested to see how Dallas kind of thinks about...
it's going to be interesting. What Dallas does in the offseason and in the years ahead is going to be interesting.
Approaching...
Are they a team that gets as far as they did this year to the second round and now just falls off?
I don't know. I could see them still competing. I know that they should have a nice sit-down with human resources and talk about personnel-to-personnel etiquette. And how to coexist with each other as a nice group, because management probably doesn't need to call out players, because
that was awful. That was awful.
I like the message, but the way it's not what you say, but how you say it. It's not what you say, but how you say it, right? You know, and the reality is, we talk about these guys having quote-unquote a down year. They were still almost point-per-game players.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was ripping on Tyler Seguin a couple days ago, and then I looked at his points, and I'm like, probably better not say anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes fans and media and everybody get our expectations to points where we're unrealistic.
Also, there's been a little bit of talk. Actually, speaking of my Minnesota Wild, a guy I really like, actually, Jonas Donskoy.
Yep.
Like him. Also talked that Jordan Eberle might think about going somewhere, but
I had a conversation about Jordan Eberle this week, and it's like, all right, well, how many teams really want Jordan Eberle? What has Jordan Eberle proved?
I mean, Jordan Eberle was good about 3.5 years ago, and I think it's always one of those, will the change of scenery benefit him? And are you willing and is he willing to negotiate maybe a pay cut for that change of scenery?
Yeah. Well, we head into the free agency. July 1st will be an interesting day with Carlson, Panarin, Duchene, Bobrovsky, and Skinner as the big five. We'll see how much money gets spent, and we'll see if 2 years from now we'll be looking at this one like the 2016. I don't think so. I think we might see some ridiculous contracts, but I don't think we'll see it to the level and the lack of success that we saw in that year of 2016.
Inside Edge Hockey News, bringing the NHL to the fans.
It's time to talk Facebook poll. I got 2 questions this week. One on the RFA side, one on the UFA side. We'll roll through them quickly. I always love listening to what our listeners and our fans of the show think about certain topics. Opinions are awesome. I'm full of opinions on hockey, and so when I hear what the fans think, I always like adding that to the show because we wouldn't have the show if we didn't have people listening, right? First question I posed this week on Facebook, and the answers to this one absolutely shocked me. Will an offer sheet be presented to an RFA this summer? And I thought for sure that we would get a very close response. I would give it as 40% chance we will see an offer sheet this year, just because we haven't seen them. They're not common. They're not. The last one I can remember was Ryan O'Reilly. So, they're not common. The fans, when I had a lot of people respond, 90% of them said that we will see an offer sheet this year. We have a great RFA class, and who knows? You're probably right on that just because of who's out there. It's just unprecedented how many good players are RFAs this year. Question number 2, I went into the UFA side of it now, and I just posed the question, who will be the highest paid UFA this summer? And I put the big 5, Eric Carlson, Artemi Panarin, Matt Duchene, Sergei Bobrovsky, and Jeff Skinner. Eric Carlson walked away with it with 52%, and I had a lot of response to this one. Eric Carlson at 52%, Artemi Panarin at 40%. I will agree that they'll be the top 2. Bobrovsky at 6%, and then Matt Duchene and Jeff Skinner came in at 1%, which for sure I know Jeff Skinner won't be the highest paid. I still think someone is going to overpay him, but I don't think he'll be the highest paid either. I would have to go with I think Artemi Panarin is going to be the highest one this year. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great UFA class and a lot of fun, and a lot of changes are going to happen to National Hockey League teams this summer, and it's always exciting to see roster moves. That's what makes sports so great. And we thank you for listening today. We thanks for all the support through the year that you've given the Inside Edge Hockey News radio show. We'll be back one more show before we take our summer break. Again, thanks for listening.
Inside Edge Hockey News on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. Get connected.
Zaitsev's wrist shot deflected right on, they score! Wee Willie Nylander ties the game seconds after the DeBrusque goal!
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Inside Edge Hockey News radio show. A big thanks goes out to our sponsors, Hockey Community. Check out InsideEdgeHockeyNews.com for all your hockey news, and follow us on all forms of social media. Tweet us your questions and comments at Inside Edge Hockey, and most importantly, download the Inside Edge Hockey News radio show on your favorite podcatcher. We are on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, and Spotify. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's hockey action.
Boy, are these guys fun to watch.
Hello, he was flat.
Wow.
That's a statement.
Another heartbreak in Boston for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Tired of calling or texting around looking for players for your hockey games? Upset that no one seems to respond to your email or even Facebook invites? Yeah, pretty frustrating, right? Lucky for you, there's Hockey Community, a social media website dedicated just for hockey. It's a one-stop shop in searching for games, players, stick and puck, tournaments, and yes, goalies. But there's more. As soon as you sign up, you will see every game and player updates within 50 kilometers of your location. Thanks to our innovative technology, rinks and leagues can connect their schedules to our site and we'll show you what's happening around. Whether you want ice, roller, street hockey, or even floorball, you can connect with the sport anywhere you go and right from your pocket. Check out hockey-community.com now to see more.
Thanks for listening to the Inside Edge Hockey News Radio Show. We hope you'll pass along our website address, InsideEdgeHockeyNews.com, to your friends and colleagues. Check out the radio show archive on our website for previous radio shows. The website also features numerous articles, videos, and blog posts. This has been an Inside Edge Hockey News production. Join us next time for another entertaining edition of the Inside Edge Hockey News Radio Show.
This has been a production of Inside Edge Hockey News Radio, copyrighted and distributed by the Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.